Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can hear you.
Jai.
This is my humble obeisance. All glories to Jayagurudeva, all glories to Gurudev, and all glories to assembled Vaishnava devotees. Dear devotees, we thank you all for being here today. Today, we are very fortunate to have the blessed presence of His Grace, Jayagurudev Prabhu. And Prabhuji, you are very much welcome to Hare Krishna Africa platform. And we don't have many devotees here at the moment, but devotees will be joining very shortly. So what we're going to do is Srila Prabhupada chants the Jai Radha Madhava, and after that, you take over and then you speak the Bhagavatam as you would in the temple room. And after you're done speaking, if you have some time, then you may take questions from devotees if devotees may have. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we're going to play Jai Radha Madhava from Srila Prabhupada.
Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Paramahamsa Paribhajagacharya Sattva Smadhi Ram Saraswati Goswami Bhagavati Jai Ananda Kori Vaishnava Ki Jai Ramacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Names of the whole Sri Krishna राधा कृष्ण को गोपनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, नवदीप धाम की जय, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, द्वारका धाम की जय, स्वामी भक्तवृंद की जय, और ग्लोरी टू द और ग्लोरी टू द थैंक यू वेरी मच.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today we are blessed, like I said earlier, we have His Grace Jayagurudeva Prabhu who will be speaking to us from the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, my name is Sahadev Das, and I will be the host today. So you are very much welcome to Hare Krishna Africa. This is
Thank
your
you very
own
much.
home. It's your own home, so handle it the way you wish to. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So you can kindly put the
verse on the
page, the verse on the screen. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So we are reading from the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 7, verse number 14. This chapter is called the process of creation, and it describes the Brahmaji accounts to Narada Muni the different incarnations of the Lord, and this one is number 14 is the incarnation of Lord Nishingadev. So we will read word by word. Trai Pishtapa, the demigods. So, Trai Pishtaporubayaha Sanishinga Rupam Kritpa Brahma Brakuti Dangshtakarala Vaktram Daityendra Ashu Godaya Bipantatam Arat Urau Nipatya Bidadharana Khai Spurantam. Word by word. Trai Pishtapa, the demigods. Uru Bhayaha, one who vanquishes great fears. Saha, the personality of Godhead. Nisringharupam, assuming the incarnation Nishinga. Kritva, doing so. Brahmat, by rolling. Bru Kuti, eyebrows. Dangstra, teeth. Karala, greatly fearful. Vaktram, mouth. Daitya Indram, the king of the demons. Ashu, immediately. Gadaya, with club in hand. Abhipatantam, while falling down. Arat, nearby. Urau, on the thighs. Nipatiya, placing on. Vidadhara, pierced. Nakaihi, by the nails. Spurantam, while challenging. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. The personality of Godhead assumed the incarnation of Nisringadev in order to vanquish the great fears of the demigods. He killed the king of the demons, Hiranyakashipu, who challenged the Lord with a club in his hand by placing the demon on his thighs and piercing him with his nails, rolling his eyebrows in anger and showing his fearful teeth and mouth. Purport. The history of Hiranyakashipu and his great devotee son Prahlad Maharaj is narrated in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Hiranyakashipu became very powerful by material achievements, and thought himself to be immortal by the grace of Brahmaji. Brahmaji declined to award him the benediction of immortality because he himself is not an immortal being. But Hiranyakashipu derived Brahmaji's benediction in a roundabout way, almost equal to becoming an immortal being. Hiranyakashipu was sure that he would not be killed by any man or demigod, or by any kind of known weapon, nor would he die in day or night. The Lord, however, assumed the incarnation of half man and half lion, which was beyond the imagination of a materialistic demon like Hiranyakashipu, and thus, keeping pace with the benediction of Brahmaji, the Lord killed him. He killed him on his lap, so that he was killed neither on the land, nor on the water, nor in the sky. The demon was pierced by Nishinga's nails, which were beyond the human weapons imaginable by Hiranyakashipu. The literal meaning of Hiranyakashipu is one who is after gold and soft bedding, the ultimate aim of all materialistic men. Such demonic men who have no relationship with God gradually become puffed up by material acquisitions and begin to challenge the authority of the Supreme Lord and torture those who are devotees of the Lord. Prahlad Maharaj happened to be the son of Hiranyakashipu, and because the boy was a great devotee, his father tortured him to the best of his ability. In this extreme situation, the Lord assumed the incarnation of Nrsingadev, and just to finish the enemy of the demigods, the Lord killed Hiranyakashipu in a manner beyond the demon's imagination. Materialistic plans of godless demons are always frustrated by the all-powerful Lord. So maybe we can read the verse again. The personality of Godhead assumed the incarnation of Nrsingadev in order to vanquish the great fears of the demigods. He killed the king of the demons, Hiranyakashipu, who challenged the Lord with a club in his hand by placing the demon on his thighs and piercing him with his nails, rolling his eyebrows in anger and showing his fearful teeth and mouth. Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshushrunmilitam Yenam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Janam Bhutale Shayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadatipam Padantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Hare Krishna. So thank you very much for having me at today's session of Hare Krishna Africa. I am a faithful follower of your channel. I have been watching also my godbrother Manidhar not too long ago lecturing at your platform, and Mataji yesterday also was extremely interesting. So I find this system of spreading Krishna consciousness by using the platform of Zoom conferencing as very useful, and I'm very much impressed, I must say, by the whole African Yatra, which was founded long time ago by my dear most godbrother Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj and other Vaishnavas who have traveled in India and in Africa. And it's very encouraging to see how Krishna consciousness has spread and is continuing to spread in the African continent, and also with the devotees from Africa who are somehow or other placed in different continents, except for not only on African continent, but also in India, in the US, etc. So once again, thank you for having me. And I will try to discuss a little bit this verse by, first of all, I would like to, first of all, go to the end of the 6th chapter and read maybe the translation and purport to that last verse of the 6th chapter, which directly presupposes the explanations which we find in the 7th chapter. So in this verse, Narada is being informed by Brahma in the following: Pradhanyanto yadrisha amananti leelabataram purushasya bhumraha aptyatam kurma kashaya shosham anukramishyeta imam supeshan. O Narada, now I shall state one after another the transcendental incarnations of the Lord known as Leela avatars. Hearing of their activities counteracts all foul matters accumulated in the ear. These pastimes are pleasing to the ear to hear and are to be relished. Therefore, they are in my heart. Purport. As it was said in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 5th chapter, 8th verse, one cannot be fully satisfied by hearing unless and until one is given a chance to hear of the transcendental activities of the Lord. So, Brahmaji is also trying, in this verse, to stress the importance of narrating the transcendental pastimes of the Lord as he comes and manifests himself here on the surface of the material planets. Every living entity has a tendency to hear pleasing messages, and as such, almost every one of us is inclined to hear news and talks broadcast by the radio stations or by internet today. But the difficulty is that no one is satisfied at heart by hearing all those messages. The cause of such dissatisfaction is the incompatibility of the message with the innermost stratum of the living soul. This transcendental literature is especially prepared by Srila Vyasadeva to give the utmost satisfaction to the people in general by narrations of the activities of the Lord as instructed by Sri Narada Muni to Srila Vyasadeva. Such activities of the Lord are principally of two varieties. One concerns the mundane manifestation of the material creative force, and the other deals with his pastimes in the form of different incarnations in terms of time and place. There are innumerable incarnations of the Lord, like the waves of the river flowing constantly in and out. Less intelligent persons take more interest in the creative forces of the Lord in the material world, and being disconnected from their relationship with the Lord, they put forward many theories of the creation in the name of scientific research. The devotees of the Lord, however, know well how the creative forces work concurrently by the action and reaction of the material energy of the Lord. Therefore, they take more interest in the transcendental activities of the Lord as he incarnates himself on the surface of the material world. Srimad Bhagavatam is the history of such activities of the Lord, and people who take interest in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam clear their hearts of accumulated mundane filth. There are 1,001 rash literatures on the market, but one who has taken interest in the Srimad Bhagavatam loses all interest in such filthy literatures. Sri Brahmaji is thus attempting to narrate the principal incarnations of the Lord so that they may be drunk by Narada as transcendental nectar. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purpose of the second canto, 6th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Purusha Shukta Confirmed. So, in this connection, I would just like to mention a few important informations. First of all, I would like to speak about time. Unlike the Western concept of linear time, which we may define as follows, the geological time span, according to the Western concept, current scientific concept, is 4,054,000,000 solar years, and the universe, according to the current scientific research, is 13,700,000,000 years old. That is the linear time. In other words, we have in our current scientific research kind of speculated according to our means, scientific means, specifically by observing different stars and different galaxies, as they call them, via media telescopes. And we conjectures that at the start of the universe, there is some kind of a, according to the scientists, Big Bang, and then starts a linear process, which has, according to the scientists, started 13 billion years ago. It's a linear process, a starting point, and it goes in a linear way on and on and on and on and on. And there is actually, currently, there is in the scientific community no specific information about the end of this universe, nor of the whole creation. We conjecture, we speculated on the hand of our imperfect senses and our imperfect brain substance that the universe is started by a Big Bang. But Srila Prabhupada, several times during his morning walks and also in his books, was curious to understand, and he spoke with his disciples about this, what was before the Big Bang, right? According to people like Stephen Hawking, renowned cosmologist who passed away some years ago, there was nothing, which is quite a challenge for any intelligent being to say, well, you know, if something comes from nothing, you have to prove it. Have we any proof in our scientific world that something comes from nothing? So anyhow, Prabhupada definitely many times challenged the scientific theories of the linear time, and he was quite clear and logical. Mainly, Srila Prabhupada was a master of logics. That was something that attracted a lot of Westerners and still attracts a lot of Westerners, including scientific brains. So anyhow, Vedic time is cyclical. That means that there is a repeated cycle. There is no concept of history in the Vedic civilization like we have in the current Western materialistic civilization, specifically the time which is measured by before Christ and after Christ era, right? We are measuring in our world, in our scientific world, we have said that, let's say, 13,700,000,000 years before Christ, there was a creation, there was a Big Bang, and from that Big Bang came the whole universe, and later on, this Earth has developed 4,054,000,000,000 solar years ago. So this is something which the Vedic civilization is completely beyond of these conceptions. So there is no before Christ and after Christ. Thus, the accounts of the various avatars, incarnations, were specifically in the 7th chapter speaking about the Leela avatars. There are many other avatars, of course. But in the account of the various avatars related in the Srimad Bhagavatam cannot be understood from the perspective of before Christ and after Christ era, because they're completely beyond this linear time. Yes? Therefore, they can only be understood if one becomes a serious student of a bona fide spiritual master, such as His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON. Yes? So when we speak of these incarnations, it is imperative to understand that the incarnations are constantly manifesting themselves in various universes, in various times. And they have been manifesting in this manner since time immemorial. We cannot speak of before Christ or after Christ. These are all conceptions which are based on Western science, which is imperfect because it uses the methodology of sense perception, of measurements by our imperfect senses, weighing by our imperfect senses, etc. These are accounts which are beyond time and space. They are transcendental. They are transcendental. The need of the parampara in order to understand transcendental knowledge is explained in the Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, verse 1 until 9. And I will read these verses without Srila Prabhupada's purport. Everyone is invited to read the verses and the purports at his leisure. But I will read for this purpose of this today's reading just the verses from this Bhagavad Gita. Sri Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god, Vivasvan. And Vivasvan instructed to Manu, the father of mankind. And Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you, because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. And Arjuna said, the sun god Vivasvan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand it? In the beginning, you instructed this science to him. Here we see how Arjuna Prabhupada in many lectures has mentioned how Arjuna immediately conjectured, how is it possible that Krishna instructed Vivasvan when he is standing in front of him? And Vivasvan is much older as the king of the planet Sun. To that, the personality of God had said, many births both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharat, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. Though to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to reestablish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So we cannot understand the activities and pastimes of the Lord without being connected to a bona fide succession of spiritual masters. That is very important to understand. It is a science. Srila Prabhupada has many times put emphasis on the fact that Krishna consciousness is not a religion. It is not Hinduism. It is a science, right? Those, I've just finished reading a book which is quite interesting from one of my friends who is a professor at the university, and he wrote a book, India Seen Through the Eyes of the Europeans, where he describes how the basically the British and the German and other Indologists have created a whole history of India and Indian philosophy, which is based on linear time and on their own speculations, and mainly on a lot of bias towards India. So these Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and the Acharyas have always stressed the fact that it is not possible to understand this science through the methods they are applying. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has actually stressed the point that those who try to understand Vedic philosophy and the science of the different avatars of Krishna, the incarnations, and also the material creation through their imperfect senses, are like bees who are trying to lick the honey in the bottle by licking the glass and not actually opening the bottle with the honey, right? There's a method. If you want to taste the honey, you have to open the glass. You cannot just simply lick the bottle and think that you will taste the honey. So similarly, all these Indologists and all these scientists, they're simply licking the glass. They have no access to the true nature of science of Krishna consciousness. So now I will just simply explain a little bit about, we have at the start of this talk, I have spoken about the fact that the Western concept of time is linear, that it started, according to them, at some many billions of years ago, and When it will end, they cannot really find out, although nowadays they conjecture that there will be some black hole which will absorb the universe, etc., etc., etc. Speculating on the basis of their mental and other sensual perceptions. So the Vedas explain it in the following way. A kalpa is equal to 4,320 billion years, and that constitutes a day of Brahma. And the night of Brahma is the same. So 24 hours of Brahma add together 8,640,000,000 years, or 1,000 Mahayugas, measuring the duration of the world. Each kalpa is divided into 14 Manvantara periods, each lasting 71 yuga cycles. That means 306,720,000 years. Preceding the first and following each Manvantara period is a juncture, Sandhya, equal to the length of a Satya Yuga, 1,728,000 years. A kalpa is followed by a pralaya, dissolution, of equal length, which together constitutes a day and night of Brahma. A month of Brahma contains 30 such days and nights, or 259 billion years. According to the Mahabharata, 12 months of Brahma, 360 days, constitutes his year, and 100 such years is his life, a Mahakalpa, which is calculated as 311 trillion years, or 36,000 kalpas and 36,000 pralayas. 50 years of Brahma are supposed to have elapsed, and we are now in the Shreta Avaraha Kalpa of the first day of his 51st year. At the end of a kalpa, the world is annihilated by fire. The definition of a kalpa equaling 4,320,000,000 years is found in the Puranas, specifically Vishnu Purana and Bhagavat Purana. The duration of the material universe is limited. That is a fact which Prabhupada mentions in one of the purports of the previous verses which we have just read. The duration of the material universe is limited. It is manifested in cycles of kalpas. A kalpa is a day of Brahma, and one day of Brahma consists of 1,000 cycles of 4 yugas or ages: Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dvapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga. These 4 yugas, rotating 1,000 times, comprise one day of Brahma, and the same number comprises one night. Brahma lives 100 of such years and then dies. These 100 years total 311 trillion 40 billion years, Earth years, or solar years if we want. By these calculations, the life of Brahma seems fantastic and interminable, but from the viewpoint of eternity, it is as brief as a lightning flash. In the causal ocean, there are innumerable Brahmas rising and disappearing like bubbles. Brahma and his creation are all part of the material universe, and therefore they are in constant flux. So this information, you will be surprised, I have found not only in Srila Prabhupada's books, but is mentioned on Wikipedia under the heading Kalpa, or time, right? So this information also is very well elaborated on a nice web page, a platform which was created by one of my godbrothers in America. It is called https popularvedicscience.com, which is a very interesting platform where you can find many information, not only about the time of this universe and the material creation, but also about astrology and astronomy. They are situated in Michigan, United States, and they are running the Goloka Eco Farm in a village which is called Maybe. So the Puranas use yugas as the most basic unit for stamping historical events with a date. They are the cosmic ages used for measuring universal time. There are 4 yugas, and each one follows the other, just as spring follows winter, summer follows, spring, and so on in an endless succession. The names of the 4 yugas are Satya, Treta, Dvapara, and Kali. When the length of each are combined, the total is 4,320,000 million years. If we double the years stated in the Puranas, these 4 yugas put together are often called Divya Yuga, or we may say also the day and night of Brahma. A total of 71 Divya Yugas, or 71 cycles of the 4 yugas, is called Manvantara. And a total of 14 Manvantaras form a Kalpa. And a Kalpa is 8,064,000,000,000 solar years. Now, in this connection, I have found a verse from the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which is very famous. 8th chapter, verse 17. If you would like to find it on the database for the attendants would like to see. So I will read just the verse and the purport, which is very important because Prabhupada defines it more specifically in the Parampara. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together form the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night. Purport. The duration of the material universe is limited, as we have read just before the information on wiki pages. It is manifested in cycles of kalpas. A kalpa is a day of Brahma, and one day of Brahma consists of 1,000 cycles of 4 yugas or ages, Satya, Treta, Dvapara, and Kali. The cycle of Satya is characterized by virtue, wisdom, and religion, there being practically no ignorance and vice, and the yugas last, this yuga, the Satya Yuga lasts 1,728,000 years. In the Treta Yuga, vice is introduced, and this yuga lasts 1,296,000 years. In the Dvapara Yuga, there is an even greater decline in virtue and religion, vice increasing, and this yuga lasts 864,000 years. And finally, in Kali Yuga, the yuga we have now been experiencing over the 5,000 years, with all our scientists stating that there's no creator, and this everything has come by chance and all kind of this kind of rubbish. There is an abundance of strife, ignorance, irreligion, and vice, true virtue being practically non-existent. And this yuga lasts 432,000 years, of which we have, as stated here, passed only the first 5,000 years. Sometimes when we read all kind of conspiracy theories about the end of the world, the Mayan calendar or something like that, so they prophesied, or Nostradamus and all these other people, they prophesied the end of the world will be in this and this date. Well, we can safely conclude from the Vedas that we have 428,000 or 427,000 years to go until the end of this one yuga, and only this yuga. This is very short, a very long time. So we are confident that this is proper information, aparashreya, which comes from the spiritual knowledge. In Kali Yuga, vice increases to such a point that at the termination of the yuga, the Supreme Lord himself appears as the Kalki avatar, vanquishes the demons, saves his devotees, and commences another Satya Yuga. Then the process is set rolling again. These 4 yugas, rotating 1,000 times, comprise one day of Brahma, and the same number comprise one night. Brahma lives 100 of such years and then dies. These 100 years, by earth calculation, total to 311 trillion and 40 billion earth years. By these calculations, the life of Brahma seems fantastic and interminable, but from the viewpoint of eternity, it is as brief as a lightning flash. Now, my question is, where did Wikipedia get this thing? They got it directly from Prabhupada's purport. So, actually, I've been, when I was teaching at the university, I've been mentioning that the Wikipedia is one of the rare instruments in our world which is not obeying the capitalist system. which is beyond the capitalist system, and therefore it is the only free media where people can actually introduce proper knowledge. And we can see that Wikipedia has been enriched by some great soul who has just stated the purport from Srila Prabhupada's verse, 8th chapter, 17th, from the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 17th verse. In the causal ocean, there are innumerable Brahmas rising and disappearing like bubbles in the Atlantic. Brahma and his creation are all part of the material universe, and therefore they are in constant flux. In the material universe, not even Brahma is free from the process of birth, old age, disease, and death. So now I just would like to come back to this Leela, the appearance of Lord Nishingadev, which is here in this second canto mentioned in this 4th chapter, 17th verse, that even Lord Brahma is not free from the process of birth, old age, disease, and death. So as we know from the 7th canto, the story of the Srimad Bhagavatam accounts how Hiranyakashipu was actually eager to become immortal. And he performed very long austerities. It is stated that he performed austerities under in the Himalayas on a very sacred place. And he stopped eating, he stopped drinking, he stopped even breathing. And at a certain point, the universe was shaking, and the demigods approached Lord Brahma, asking him what's going on. And Lord Brahma found out that Hiranyakashipu was performing such hard, such incredible austerities that he appeared in front of him. And he, at that point, Hiranyakashipu's body was covered by an anthill, right? And it's stated in the 7th canto that the ants have eaten up all the flesh of Hiranyakashipu. Can you imagine what kind of a yogi he was? You know, such a powerful demon. Of course, he wasn't any demon. He and his brother Hiranyaksha were the greatest demons in the history of the universe, right? So Hiranyakashipu was circulating his life air within his skeleton. Now, I would like to ask if anyone is capable of doing such a thing, of circulating his life air just in the skeleton. So this is impossible to understand. These are great, unbelievable demons who we cannot even conceive of, right? So anyhow, Brahma took his kamandalu and dropped a few drops on this skeleton of Hiranyakashipu, which immediately rejuvenated the whole body, immediately appeared in a beautiful, shining, young, luster form. You can imagine, you know. And Hiranyakashipu fell at the lotus feet of Brahmaji, the highest creative being in this universe, and asked for this benediction that he would like to be immortal. And Brahma said, well, I can fulfill any of your wishes, any of your desires. Unfortunately, I cannot award you immortality because myself, I am a mortal being. I am also subjected to death. As is stated, after 311 trillion years, Brahma leaves this world. It is stated elsewhere in the Bhagavad that Lord Brahma, because he's a pious being, at least in this period of the creation, or Chatur Mukha Brahma, four-headed Brahma, that he leaves his planet and he returns back home, back to Godhead, because he's a very pious being. Whatever, after 311 trillions of years, even Brahma has to give up his position. You know, what to speak of us in this, in our teeny 100 years? 100 years compared to 311 trillion years, we are just like, you know, nothing, like a flash in the pan, you know, our lifestyle. We are so puffed up, we are so proud. Oh, I'm living 70 years and no. We must be very clear about this, that our life is extremely short. Anyhow, Brahma told him, I can fulfill whatever you desire, but this I cannot grant you. So because Hiranyakashipu was extremely intelligent, he asked Brahma the boon that he will not die at night nor during the day. He asked Brahma, and Brahma said, so be it, so be it. Then he said, I want that no one can kill me, no animal, no man, no God, no one can kill me. Brahma said, be it, so be it. Then he asked, I won't want to be killed in the air, on the earth, or in water. And Brahma said, so be it, right? So in other words, he gave him all the blessings that Hiranyakashipu asked for, and Hiranyakashipu effectively became extremely powerful demon. To this, I just would like to add one thing, and that is that Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, that's the original story which is described in the Bhagavatam also, they were actually initially Jaya and Vijay. As you know, as you have maybe followed the construction of the temple of Vedic planetarium, so at the gate of the entrance to the Vedic planetarium, they have erected huge, enormous murtis, statues of Jaya and Vijay, who were cursed by the four Kumaras to descend to this material world. And as the story goes, which is described specifically in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, as the story goes, when they were cursed like this, Jaya and Vijay, Lord Vishnu appeared on the scene, and immediately both the four Kumaras and Jaya and Vijay fell at the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu pacified all and explained mainly to Jaya and Vijay that these four Kumaras, they are his pure devotees, and once the pure devotees have cursed them, he has no chance of negating their curse. But he offered them an option. Either you can descend to this material world and appear 7 times as my devotees, or if you want, you can appear as my biggest demons in this material world only 3 times. So Jaya and Vijay, they said, oh my Lord, how can we be without your company for such a long time? 7 births is much too long. We prefer to take birth 3 times as the demons and fight with you. And Vishnu said, so be it. Actually, the story is also described in the Bhagavad that Lord Vishnu had the desire to fight in a way which would be something which is impossible in the spiritual world. Because in the spiritual world, everybody loves Lord Vishnu, everybody worships him. Sometimes there's some mock fighting, you know, it's described also as the Lord has all kind of pastimes in the spiritual world. But there's no one in the spiritual world who would fight with the Lord to death. This is something which in the spiritual world is impossible to happen. So therefore the Lord devised such a specific transcendental pastime that his devotees, Jaya and Vijay, would get birth 3 times in this material world. So, and every time he would come and fight with them and kill them. And the fight between the Lord and these devotees who appeared as demons is phenomenal. And described, the Srimad Bhagavatam describes all these fights in a very succinct way and a very detailed way. And you may see also in these pastimes that the Lord really had a terrible fight with them, you know. The fight between the Lord and Hiranyaksha is described in the first verses of this 7th chapter, right? And they're very, very heavy. I mean, Hiranyaksha was a powerful demon, not only powerful, but it's stated that he was the most powerful demon of all ages, right? And the Lord fought with him in the form of Varahadev, of the boar incarnation. And the fight took some time. At a certain point, they were thinking, oh, the demigods who were watching the fight, they were thinking, oh, the Lord boar is now being defeated by this demon. But at the end, Lord just gave a little slap to Hiranyaksha, and that was the end of Hiranyaksha. Although, he was so powerful. The same went on later on, as we see in this verse today, with Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu had incredible powers, and as we said, he was the most powerful demon of that age. He would just lift his brows and the demigods will be shaking. But of course, the fact that Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu were such powerful demons was an arrangement by the Lord, because he needed such people to fight with. He cannot fight with some boxer of this material world. This is not a match for him. So therefore, he made his devotees into the most powerful demons. Yeah. So this is therefore Brahma describes these incarnations as Leela avatars, or the pastime avatars of the Lord. Lord wants to have pastimes. The Lord wants to enjoy. All living entities, we are all living entities. We are after joy, after pleasure, right? So Janmadyasya Jataha, he, the Supreme Lord, he contains all the desires that we have in an unlimited way, and he can satisfy them in an unlimited way. And that's called Leela. So these are Leela avatars. This is the specific Leela of the Lord appearing as Lord Nrisimhadev. And as it is described in Prabhupada's purport in this verse, he placed Hiranyakashipu on his knees. Therefore, he wasn't in the air, he wasn't on the earth, he wasn't in the water. He was just on the knees of the Lord. And he used his sharp nails to kill the demon, right? He didn't use any other weapon, although later on, as we have read in the 7th cantos, when Hiranyakashipu was killed, then all the demons came and rushed towards Nrisimhadev and wanted to fight with him. Even Hiranyakashipu, he had his sword and he was flying around like a wasp. He was flying in the air like, I've seen also in the fights in Africa and all they have these helicopters, these American-made helicopters which can hover in the air and like this. So this way, Hiranyakashipu hovered around Nrisimhadev just like one of these hawk helicopters of the U.S. Army, but Lord Nrisimhadev just grabbed him just like you would grab a wasp and bifurcated him, killed him with his nails, right? And he didn't kill him during the day. He didn't kill him during the night. He just killed him just at the junction, Sandhya, just at the junction of the day and night. How so much clever, so perfect the Supreme Lord in his transcendental pastimes are. So I think I will end here. Of course, I could also speak about other aspects of the different yugas which are described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, specifically this Kali Yuga. In this age of Kali, almost always have been, in this iron age of Kali, men almost always have but short lives. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. So this is our situation. And the panacea, or the nice thing about this Kali Yuga is that in this age of Kali, we can become spiritually advanced and enlightened simply by chanting this holy name of the Lord and listening to the Bhagavad from the proper sources and applying it in our lives, and thus becoming purified from material illusion. So thank you very much for listening for this hour. I thank all the attendees, and I'm also happy if there is any question or comments, or one would like to add something. I will be very happy. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. His grace, Jayagurudeva Prabhu. We can't thank you enough. Like I said, my name is Sahadev Das, and on behalf of all the attendees and whoever may be watching this on YouTube as you speak, or whoever may be watching this clip later on, we all humbly offer our respectful obeisances to you and all of your God brothers and God sisters, the direct disciples of Srila Prabhupada, for accepting Srila Prabhupada and helping him spread Krishna consciousness. And by that, some of us have been fortunate to come to benefit Krishna consciousness as we are today. And of course, the whole world is benefiting, and the whole world is going to benefit from your service to Srila Prabhupada. So we thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So devotees, if anyone may have a question, comment, realizations that you would want to share. Babuji, are you speaking from India?
Me?
I'm asking, where are you at? Where are you based?
Oh, I'm in the heart of Europe, in Prague, Czech Republic.
Oh, you Czech. Okay, okay.
Yeah, just like Maridar. Maridar is also Czech, but he's now in Sweden.
Okay, okay. I asked because we're trying to pay attention to the time difference.
Yeah. No, I'm in Prague. I just would like to mention one little detail about my activities here in the Czech Republic. Since about 20 years, I have been working in my recording studio. You may see behind me, I have my recording studio, and I produce audiobooks in the Czech language for the Czech children. And my concept is actually, I don't make difference between children of the devotees and children or children. All the children are children for me. I don't make any distinctions. So I produce these audiobooks. This is Krishna book for children, and this is the story of King Parikshit. This is the story of Prahlad Maharaj and Lord Nishingadev. This is the story of Rama Avatar and the killing of Ravana and Kumbhakarna. This is the story of Dhruva Maharaj. This is just came out this year. This is the story of Vamanadev Avatar. And next year we're preparing some more of these stories. So this is some of the activities I do here, and all therefore these stories I'm living with them. All this, and these are not just like audiobooks in the sense that you just read the text. These are actually dramas, plays with music, with sound effects and everything. And the children just love it. And I get some good feedback also from people who are out of the movement and who love to listen to it online or buy the CDs or download it. So therefore the story of Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, that's included in the story of Prahlad Maharaj. So I do this kind of thing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much Prabhuji, for your service. Thank you so much. Prabhuji, your lecture today kind of elicits lots of questions. And just about 2-3 days ago, I was having a conversation with one of my senior God brothers. And we were talking about Lord Nishimnadev. And today, that is the theme, that is the topic, I should say. It's about Lord Nishimnadev. The text says that the Lord assumed. And literally, if we go by the word assumed, may indicate that that form was not existent prior to the manifestation. But we also understand that all the various forms of the Lord are ever existent. Like Srila Prabhupada said it that the Supreme Lord has unlimited forms, like the bubbles of the ocean. So if that is the case, and you also said that because in the spiritual world, everybody is a sweet devotee, nobody wants to fight the Lord to death. And the Supreme Lord has this form, Nishrimhadev, which is so fearsome in the Vaikuntha planet. Who is he fighting with in the spiritual world to have such a form in the spiritual world?
So
that was the question we were having, and we couldn't have an
Yes.
answer. So we hope
Yes.
you can help us.
Yes. So actually, the Lord is worshipped in the spiritual world in this form, Nishingadev, Lakshmi Nishingadev specifically, in one of the Vaikuntha planets, which is the planet where Lord Nishingadev resides eternally in the spiritual world and is worshipped by the devotees in that specific form, just like we are worshipping the Lord, although he is in a fearsome stage. But the fact of the matter is that for devotees, Prabhupada once explained that for Hiranyakashipu, he was like the most fearsome living entity because he was envious, a demon. But when Prahlad Maharaj saw Nishingadev, he was very pleased. Prabhupada described it that when you are from Africa, you people there. So if you meet a lion in the savannah there in Africa, you better don't run. He will be faster than you are. But anyhow, if you meet a hungry, fearsome lion in the middle of the savannah somewhere or in the forest in Africa, I mean, you better run or climb a tree or whatever, because he's such a. But the lion cub, the small little lion, which is there, oh, he is so happy to see. Oh, this is my father. This is my mother, and he feels so completely satisfied and pacified. So similarly, the devotees, when they see the form of the Lord assuming such a, I would say, fearsome form for the materialists, for the demons, for the devotees, it's very pleasant. It's very beautiful. It's very extremely interesting form. I mean, we know that all the devotees who are in this movement, they have a picture of Lord Nishingadev on their altar, isn't it? Yeah. And we have a beautiful Lord Nishingadev Murti in Sridham Mayapur. And there's a beautiful Nishinga, Prahlad Nishinga deity here, right close to our temple here in Prague, 120 kilometers away on the German side of the border in Germany. In Simhachalam, there's a beautiful Murti of Lord Nishingadev. And we love this deity. Everybody goes there and worships this deity. Yeah? So the Lord is very beautiful for the devotees. Of course, we know at the story in the 7th canto when Lord Nishinga appeared from the column, when he appeared in the column, the demigods were very afraid because they never experienced such a form. And Brahma said, Lakshmi, go and pacify him. And Lakshmi said, no, forget it. No, he's horrible. Look at the blood on his face, forget it, And then Brahma said, so Indra, you go. And Indra said, oh, sorry, I have to go and do something else, And then finally Brahma said, Prahlad, you are the one. He came for you to pacify. You should go and pacify Lord Nishingadev. And Prahlad Maharaj said, oh, I'm not capable. Although he didn't feel any fear from Lord Nishingadev, on the contrary. So he approached Lord Nishingadev, and we know that Lord Nishingadev put his palm, the lion palm, like on the head of Prahlad Maharaj to inspire him to offer his prayers. And I must say that the prayers in the 7th canto, but prayers by Prahlad Maharaj, are one of the most beautiful prayers that we know in the Srimad Bhagavatam. There are so many beautiful prayers in the Bhagavatam to the Lord offered by his devotees. And these are from Prahlad Maharaj, 5-year-old boy. Prabhupada definitely said, he was just a boy, young boy, but suddenly he spoke the most philosophically sound and advanced prayers. It was such a beautiful lila. So the Lord has a form like that, and for the devotees, he's very beautiful, just like for the lion cub somewhere in the savannah in Africa. Oh, his father with his huge mane, and horrible teeth, like he's beautiful. Yeah, for the devotees, he's always beautiful. Even even if he looks like this half man, half lion.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, very, very much. Yes. Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Hare Krishna.
But it's very interesting how Mother Lakshmi, who is always with the Supreme Lord and the Shimadev, was even saying that, no, I have not seen this some form before. But
Yeah.
did go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, this Leela is a very specific form of Leela where Lakshmi ji, which appeared there in the form of a specific called Mahalakshmi, she was set just like Yashoda Mai was set in a kind of illusion. This is called Yoga Maya, you know. In fact, of course, Lakshmi always resides with Nrsimhadev. She's never separated from him. But in this specific Leela, she appeared to be puzzled and afraid, even, I would say, of Lord Nrsimhadev. But that's Leela. That's what Leela.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Anyone with any question? Anyone?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Please unmute.
Yeah. My respectful obeisances to you, Prabhu. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Thank you very much for these detailed, wonderful explanations. There's something bothering my mind, after hearing all those detailed, time differences and so on. That it is said that we cannot think of what does not exist. If we can think of it, that means it exists. So that is what is believed, that you cannot think of what does not exist. So how come we have the capacity to think of what we cannot fathom, what is beyond our scope? If we cannot think of what does not exist, but for instance, if it is accepted that yes, we cannot think of what does not exist, right? But then this time scope of Brahma actually does not exist for us because we do not exist for him also. I mean, we're like a spark, just in his lifespan. We don't exist in his time scope. So I'm saying that if we cannot think of what does not exist, how come we're able to think of time scope that we cannot fathom? That bothers me. Why do we have this type of capacity to think of the billions and billions of years, which we do not exist in that frame? We do not exist in that frame of time. All our existence is just like a dot, just like a small dot, in the lifespan of Brahma. It's like we do not exist. How come we're able to fathom? I mean, of course, maybe I let you try to tell us this. Probably, my mind is just a little bit boggling me. Yeah, so Hare Krishna, that's my question.
Hare Krishna, beautiful.
So can I?
Yes, Jayagurudev Prabhu. Yes, please. Go ahead.
So, well, you're right that in this form that we have presently, this material form, which means our material body, we cannot fathom this. That's a fact, no doubt. But the fact of the matter is that we have now a human body. And the Vedas say, Atha, Atho, now, in this human body, you have the chance to understand these things. Now you have the chance, right? That's what the Vedas say. Of course, the animals, even some of the demigods, they don't have the chance to understand these things. But the Vedas say, now, Atha, Atho, now you have the chance to understand these things. Why? Because this human form of life is blessed by the Lord that allows us to understand these facts about the creation, about these incredible time schedules, etc., etc. First of all, and second of all, we are not the body. We are a spirit soul and we are eternal. We are not influenced by this time. Therefore, the Vedas say, Nitya Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Jo Bahunam Vidadhati Kamam. We are plural, eternal, and the Lord is one, Eko Jo. Nitya, Nityanam, Nitya means singular, Nityanam, plural. And there are unlimited plural of eternal living beings. If we would be the material body, of course, then we couldn't understand these numbers. We would be completely lost because we have no relations to these numbers with the body. But because we are nitya, because we are actually all of us without any differences, we're all eternal living entities. And there's one eternal living entity, and there is Chaitanas, Chaitananam, there is one conscious living entity, and there are many unlimited conscious living entities. And what's the difference? Eko jo bahunam bidadhati kama. This one eko, this one maintains. Eko jo bahunam, bahunam means the many, or maintained by him. So if the Vedas say, now atato brahma jigyasa, in this human form of life, yeah, in this advanced form of existence, this is the time to understand our eternity and also the time framework in which we are entangled in this material world, to see this phenomenal ocean, Bhava Sindhu, it's called the ocean of material existence. And it's stated that this, as you rightly said, it's inconceivable, and we cannot cross this ocean. It is so big. You know, it's this ocean of time, ocean of karma, and all these different kinds of aspects of the material creation, law of karma, which is so complicated that even if you would take all the mathematical brains together and all the supercomputers and add them to the artificial intelligence, you would never understand the complexities of the law of karma. It is so complex, right? So it's difficult to get over this ocean of nescience, but it is possible if we take the dust of the pure devotees and shake it on our head, yeah? We can cross it. This is the beauty of the human form of life, that if we take shelter of a pure devotee, we can actually cross over this ocean of nescience, yeah? So we are, number one, we are eternal. We are not this body. We are eternal spirit souls. And number two, the Supreme Lord is the eternal supreme conscious being who maintains all of us since time immemorial with everything that we need. You know, we didn't create the atmosphere to breathe. We didn't create the water which sustains us. We didn't create all the fruit, vegetables, and grains which sustain us. No one has ever created a tomato in a factory in Abu Dhabi, in Abidjan, and Côte d'Ivoire. You know, no one is capable of creating food. You can create boats and nuts, automobiles, and take all the petrol out of the soil. That you can do, but you cannot create one tomato or one potato or one grain of rice. You know, that's all created by the Lord for our thing. So this knowledge is also created by the Lord for us, and we can take advantage of it, provided, as I've stated, that the the accounts of the various avatars related in the Srimad Bhagavatam and the time schedules cannot be understood from the perspective of before Christ or after Christ. They can only be understood if one becomes a serious student of a bona fide spiritual master, such as His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder of ISKCON. I don't know, I hope I a little bit added to your understanding that maybe.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Is it all right?
Yes, okay.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for the question, and Jayagurudeva, we thank you so much for the answer. Sometimes devotees ask a question because we do not know. Sometimes we ask because we want clarification. Sometimes we want elucidation. And sometimes we just want devotees in general to benefit the topic. And so even though one may know the answer, but he will still ask so that it will be expanded by the speaker. So Thank you so much for this beautiful question and the way you answered, because when Prabhuji was asking the question, I was also thinking similar to the way you answered, that if Lord Brahma can understand the time differences, we are equal with Lord Brahma, except that in this particular moment, we find ourselves in a different domain, but we have the capabilities. So if this covering, that is covering our ability to know these things, are cleared off, which begins with chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, then we may be able to also come to the level of knowing these time differences. Because in this particular body I'm in, it's just mind blowing. I mean, when I hear about it, I'm trying to accept everything the scriptures say, so I don't doubt it, but it's difficult to wrap your head around it. So thank you so much for the explanation. And with that said, we go to His Grace Gopinath Prabhu. Please, you may unmute. You are not. Yes. Okay.
Hare
Good.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Good.
Haribo.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for your explanations. My question here is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has been taking birth in this material world constantly. And these forms, the various forms, like Vamana Dev, Nrsimhadev, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna, Lord Ramachandra, and so on and so forth, Marcia and the rest. So I want to know all these forms that he has been manifesting in this material world exist in the spiritual world, or he just take these forms in the material world for pastimes. This is my question. Hare Krishna.
So, can I speak?
Yes.
So, basically, as I've explained in the case of Lord Nrsimhadev, he has a Vaikuntha planet, right? So,
Yes.
in these leelas, all these leela avatars, they appear in this material world, but originally they are situated in one of these Vaikuntha planets. All of these forms of the Lord leelas, they have their spiritual planet with all their devotees, and everybody is happy with those transcendental forms. But we in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, we are worshipping Lord Shri Krishna and Radharani. This is our in Goloka. This is the highest spiritual planet. But there are many unlimited devotees of all these Leela avatars. Yeah. But there are other avatars who actually, it's a fact, they appear only in the material world, and they're called the Shakti Avesha avatars, which are like Lord Buddha, Prithu Maharaj. These are the Shakti Avesha avatars. They are empowered living entities with a specific power given to them in the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, but they are from this material world empowered. But otherwise, these Leela avatars, as well as the Yuga avatars, right? They are in the spiritual world. There's also the Manvantara avatar. There's another form of avatars, and they're also specifically for this material world. So the Lord appears in his eternal transcendental forms, which are manifested in the various Vaikuntha planets, unlimited Vaikuntha planets. He manifests himself in this material world in these forms, which are worshipped eternally in the spiritual world, in the Vaikuntha planets, but also he may empower living entities, Shakti Avesha avatars, or he may manifest some of his devotees as Manvantara avatars, right? And but he appears also as Yuga avatars, and he appears also in this material world only as the Purusha avatars, which are not in the spiritual world in the same way. They appear in this material world like Mahavishnu, Karbodakashai Vishnu, Kshirodakashai Vishnu. These are the Purusha avatars. Yeah? They appear for the specific function of the creation of this of a specific material universe. But they're originally also situated in the Vaikunta planets in the Vishnu forms with the different kinds of, I would say, forms with 4 arms, and there are expansions described in the Bhagavatam. Their expansion of Baladev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. Yeah, these are expansions, and then comes Purusha avatars. From these expansions, they expand into this material world as Mahavishnu, as Kshirodakashai Vishnu, and finally Garbhodakashai Vishnu, and finally Kshirodakashai Vishnu. So this is something which, for example, the Christians, they have absolutely no idea how many forms the Lord has. You know, He has so many unlimited forms and possibilities, and so many devotees. You know, this material world is not even 1/4 of this creation of the Supreme Lord. We are in the material world, just a small minority of the living entities. Most of us, we are disobedient to the Lord. That's why we are here, you know. But the most of the living entities, they are with Krishna in the spiritual world, and they are constantly worshiping and being engaged in various transcendental services to the Lord. Yeah. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you
Hare
so
Krishna.
much. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
So we go to His Grace Govinda Prabhu. Please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my respectful obeisances. All glories to you, all glories to Srila Prabhupada,
This
and
is
all
our
glories to
driver
the Samba
devotee.
devotees.
I've
Yes.
seen you many times already driving the car. How many cameras do you have in the car?
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you very much for your presentation. It's so refreshing, and we appreciate you so much. Thank you. But I have one question. The question is about this austerities performed by Hiranyakashipu. You just mentioned that his austerity actually shook the universe, and Lord Brahma have to come down and try to pacify him. So my question is, who is responsible for giving benedictions to whoever observe fast? You know, is it Krishna, the Supreme Lord himself, or the demigods? Because I don't understand why someone's austerity has to disturb the universe, has to disturb the demigods, and that they have to come and pacify him. Who is responsible for giving benediction or pacification for the observance of these austerities? Krishna or the demigods? And is there any difference between devotees observing fastings and the demons' observation of fastings?
Yes, Prabhu, you may unmute. Okay.
So, okay.
Yes.
So the fact of the matter is that all the demigods, they are empowered to give benedictions only because Krishna gives them the power of attorney, right? So it is something like when you work in a company, or if you work at some educational institution, you will have some benedictions in the form of bonuses. For example, if you, I don't know if some of you have the job of driving a truck or driving a car for some company. So you have a direct boss above you, be it in an institution or in a company. And by pleasing this man, he reports your activities to the higher authorities. and the higher authorities reported to the owner or to the boss of the company or the head of some institution and says, oh, this man, he's doing so nicely, he's working so hard, he may even does overtime, and he's very conscientious, and all the clients, they're happy with his services, and I propose that we give him a bonus. So it's not the direct boss who can give the bonus. He doesn't decide. He has to refer to it at some meeting, executive meeting, to the company board, and the board decides upon the let's CEO, for example, the CEO decides, and okay, so you just give him a bonus, because you had reported it up the ladder of the hierarchy to the biggest boss, and he said, okay, give him the bonus. So Brahma, he couldn't give such bonuses if Lord Krishna wouldn't be agreeable to this. The demigods cannot give any benedictions. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna, he describes this phenomenon in the sense that those who are Hrita-jnanam, who have limited knowledge, they think that by worshiping the demigods that they get gains. But the fact of the matter is that demigods, they cannot give any benedictions unless the Lord agrees with such benedictions. So in the specific case of Hiranyakashipu, he performed austerities not to please Lord Vishnu. He was the biggest enemy of Lord Vishnu, He actually he hated Vishnu. He wanted to kill Vishnu. He wanted to pour the blood of Vishnu on the head of his deceased brother, So he didn't want benedictions for Lord Vishnu, but he knew, because he was very learned, he knew that Brahma, the creator of the universe, he has great powers and he can award me this benediction. So he directly asked for immortality, right? But of course, Brahma said, oh, I'm sorry, that's one thing I cannot give you, but I can give you all the other benedictions. But he could give them only because in the specific Leela of Lord Nishingadev desire to fight for death with Hiranyakashipu, say, yeah, give him this benediction, give him. Give it to him. It's okay, no problem. Yeah, no problem. But if Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu would say, no, Brahma, don't give it to him. I'm afraid the man will kill me. So, no, he knew very well, Lord Nishingadev, Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu, he knew very well this is just a game for me, is no problem. Just give it to him. Then he will think he's invincible, and it'll be that much fun for me to fight with the guy, So your question is these benedictions. Of course, materialistic people, they, for example, worship Shiva. You know the story about Lord Shiva, who gave a benediction to a devotee that anyone who touches, if this devotee touches the head of anyone, it will explode. You know that story?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he goes to Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva, he runs away, etc., etc. And then he goes to Lord Vishnu, to a small Brahmana. Lord Vishnu took the form of a Brahmana. He said, come on, you won't tell me that Lord Shiva gave you such a benediction. I mean, it doesn't exist, it's impossible. And because he was so powerful in his conviction, he was a small, innocent Brahmin. He said, just try it. You will see it doesn't work. And it did work, actually, So if Krishna wants to give benedictions, he will give them. And if Krishna doesn't want to give benediction, he won't give them, even if the most powerful demigod grants them. But the materialists, they want so many benedictions, non-stop from all the demigods or from the mother Lakshmi, oh, give me Lakshmi. Mainly the demons, they worship Lord Shiva, is well known, yeah. We don't worship Lord Shiva for any benediction. We directly worship Krishna, and we just simply ask him to please engage us in his service. Actually, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that the greatest austerity, the greatest sacrifice is japa, the chanting of the constant chanting of the holy names of the Lord. That's a great, great austerity. Not many people are capable. We have 16 rounds, okay? And still we have problems with the 16 rounds, most of us do here, But the great acharyas, Vaishnavas, they chant 64 rounds. Haridas Thakur, he chanted 2 lakhs rounds, you know. So, I mean, this is very great austerity, but we do it for the pleasure of the Lord. That's the difference.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Prabhu. The question is partially answered. I would like you to clarify this part also. You know, yes, the demigods are pleased on behalf of Krishna. They can give benedictions, but the question is that before Brahma came down to ask Hiranyakashipu why he's doing that, his austerities has made him very powerful, and it's already causing a lot of havoc to the heaven planet. So where did he get his powers? If the demigods are in charge of giving the benedictions, before Lord Brahma gave the benediction, he was already powerful. So where did he got that benediction from for him to become powerful?
Yes, you may unmute, Prabhuji.
Okay. So the benediction came directly from Krishna. He gave him the power to do these austerities. No other living being could do such austerities except for Hiranyakashipu, because Hiranyakashipu was the incarnation of Lord Krishna's, Lord Vishnu's devotee, Jai and Vijay. They were great devotees. Don't forget, we always tend to identify Hiranyakashipu as being some vile, horrible demons that we meet somewhere in a marketplace. you know, they're not ordinary demons. They're the super duper demons who came from the spiritual sky in disguise of a demon, right? But in fact, they were great devotees. So Lord Krishna gave them the capacity of perform austerities that no one else could perform, and plus that he gave them the power to move the whole universe and all the demigods to such an extent that they were disturbed. So these are all leelas, you know. We have to always consider the leela of Lord Nishingadev and Lord Varahadev's appearance also, or Lord Ramachandra's appearance, and Kumbhakarna, and then later on in the third birth of Jai and Vijay as what are they named? Shalva? No. In the third incarnation, they came as. Who can help me? Jai and Vijay.
Well, Jai Vijay, okay.
Shalva and Dantavakra and Shishupal.
Yes.
And Shishupal.
Shishupal and Dantavakra.
Yes. So you see in Shishupal's case, for example, I mean, Shishupal was the only one in the Rajasuya Yagya who had the audacity to insult the Lord. You know, even Duryodhan, even Duryodhan wouldn't have the guts to insult Lord Krishna in such a way. You know? All of the people, even Duryodhan was somewhat respectful of Lord Krishna. But Shishupal, I mean, how Shishupal found fault in the Lord, it's incredible. You know? So all these leelas which appear in the Srimad Bhagavatam, they're not ordinary stories written by ordinary men. You know, these are accounts written by Vyasadeva, describing the transcendental pastimes of the Lord.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Is that all right?
Yeah. It's very, it's very all right. The last question I've asked is about. I asked the question, but I think the answer did not come.
Okay.
The difference between devotees observing fasting. Does Krishna give devotees direct benediction directly, or it also goes to the demigods?
No. When we perform austerities, devotees like fasting on Ekadasi, chanting more rounds on Ekadasi, or fasting on Janmashtami, fasting on various festivals, these are orders given to us by this spiritual master. And on the orders of the spiritual master, we get the benedictions and the power. Therefore, Krishna says in the Gita, Tat vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. So the tattvadarshi, the actual spiritual master, he's a tattvadarshi, he sees the truth. And Lord Krishna says, instructs Arjuna, Tat vidhi pranipatena, you have to surrender pranipatena, pariprashnena, and inquire from the spiritual master. Tat vidhi pranipatena, pariprashnena, and you have to serve also the spiritual master. So through these activities, surrendering, inquiring, and serving the spiritual master, we are benedicted in doing our austerities by the results of these austerities. Otherwise, impossible. If we do not obey the spiritual master, there's no chance of getting the results of these austerities.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Is that all right?
Yeah, thank you
Okay.
so much.
So have a good drive.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. So, Shri Gopinath Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jaya and Vijay took birth for 3 lifetimes because they didn't accept Krishna's this thing for 7 lifetimes as devotees. So they took birth as demons for 3 lifetimes. And we know of Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, Ravana and Kumbhakana, Sisupal and Dantavakra. What of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's incarnation where these 2 demons who broke the head of
Jaya and
Mahaprabhu, the head of Nityananda. The names escaped my mind. They were drunkards, they were hooligans, they do anything to disturb devotees. What about them? Are they also the same incarnation or they are different?
Jagai Madai.
Jagai and Madai. Are they the same or they are different people? Because they are to take 3 births. They are to incarnate 3 times and they will be free. But we know of Jagai and Madai. So what about them also?
So
are they the same people or they are different demons?
So according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, these are also Jai and Vijay, yeah? Jagai and Madai were the 4th descent of Jai and Vijay, because they wanted to participate in the Leela of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu voluntarily, right? And that is explained by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Chaitanya Bhagavata. It is not mentioned, interestingly enough, it is not mentioned in Srila Prabhupada's books. It is not mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is mentioned, I have made research, in any of Prabhupada's books, the mention of Jagai and Madai being the 4th coming, I would say, of Jai and Vijay, it is not mentioned. But the great Acharya Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in the Chaitanya Bhagavata states so. However, from my point of view, I do not stress this point or mention this point in any way in any lecture or any pravachan, because I do not want to say something which was not said by my spiritual master. If my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, would have mentioned this fact in any other part of his literatures which he left us, then I would mention it. But as he did not mention it, I am kind of like, reserved. But it is a fact that was told to me by one of our godbrothers, that in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who is a reincarnation, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami said that he is a reincarnation of Vyasadeva. He's not an ordinary acharya also. That he mentioned that Jagai and Madai were actually came to participate in Lord Chaitanya's Leela because they were simply attracted to this transcendental Leela of the Lord, and they wanted to participate out of their own will. And they played the role, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, they played the role of demons, hooligans, as you said, Jagai and Madhai. Yes. But as I said, I would not mention it if you wouldn't have mentioned it. If you wouldn't have mentioned it, I would have not mentioned it. So I mentioned it because you asked, and I have heard this explanation from a devotee who read the Chaitanya Bhagavata, and he told me that this is mentioned by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Jayagurudeva Prabhu. I really appreciate you that you try your best to stick to what your Gurudev has said. Some time ago, I received a very small booklet from the Jehovah's Witnesses. And in that small booklet, they were making some sort of comparative analysis of what the Bible says about time and what the Bhagavad Gita says about time. They actually were trying to analyze time from the viewpoint of the Bhagavad Gita, which I really applauded them for them to study the Bhagavad Gita. That is very nice. But they were saying in that small booklet that, just like you said, you rightly said that to us, we understand that time is cyclical. But to the Western world, and what the Bible also asserts to, that time is linear. Now, to us as Vedic Vaishnava devotees, accepting that time is cyclical, why then do we say that time, once wasted, can never be retrieved? Because if it is a cycle, then there is the possibility that if you miss it, it will come back again. But if it's linear and you miss it, there is no way you're going to catch it. So I would like you to explain a little bit more about that, because there is this common saying that there are 4 things that when you lose, you never get them back. Like if you throw a stone, you're never going to get it back. If you say a word, you cannot retrieve it. If you lose some sort of time, I should say, you're not going to get it back. And then if you lose some sort of occasion, you're not going to get it back. Because these things are considered to be linear. Once you lose, they are gone. But we understand that it's cyclical. But how then, understanding and accepting that it's cyclical, also accepted that once you lose it, you've lost it?
Srila Prabhupada explains in the Bhagavad Gita that there are 5 topics.
Mm-hmm.
The first topic is the soul, Atma. The second topic is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord. The third topic is Prakriti, material energy, right? Fourth is karma. And fifth is time. These are the 5, I would say, topics of the Bhagavad Gita. And Srila Prabhupada explains in one of his purports that from the 5 topics, 4 are eternal, and 1 can be changed. 1 is temporary, and that's karma. Karma can be changed. You can change your karma. But time is eternal, Prakriti is eternal, the living entity is eternal, and the Supreme Lord is eternal. The 4 aspects are eternal, and one, the karma can be changed. So time is eternal. Time is eternal. In the material world, time is eternally bringing us misery. Eternally, you know. So if you don't take advantage of the Vedas or of the rope that the spiritual master throws to you, and you don't catch it and you don't get out of this material world, you have wasted your time, and you will be obliged to come again and again and again and again. Again, you will get maybe the opportunity, as you rightly said, the cyclical aspect of time in this material world. You will get it after taking birth in many, many forms. You will again have the chance. If you miss it, then again you have to go. So such a wasted time. And also Chanakya Pandit describes that you cannot buy wasted time, 1 minute of your life, even if you give it millions and millions of dollars. Yesterday I spoke to one lady. We were speaking about the values of human life, and for her the greatest value is money. And I told her, well, you know, money, if you lose money, that's you know, that's not such a big loss. But if you lose the opportunity of human life to inquire about your spiritual identity, then that is the greatest loss, you know. So in the material world, time is eternal, and it eternally gives trouble to the living entities that have to migrate from one body to another. And in the spiritual world, to the contrary of the material world, time increases the bliss of all the living entities and Krishna in an unlimited manner, you know. So that's the difference between eternal time in the spiritual world and eternal time in the material world. Eternal time in the material world makes us suffer on and on and on and on and on. And in the spiritual world, time is increasing, unlimited, anandam buddhi bhardanam, you know, it increases the ocean of transcendental bliss. That's the difference. So the spiritual master, liberated souls who live in the spiritual world, even though they are here still in the material world, acting under, I would say, on the order of their spiritual master, of the Supreme Lord, also directly, they are actually living in the spiritual world, and their bliss is increasing on and on and on. That's why we had our spiritual master, and I think many of you have accepted His Divine Grace, Bhakti Tirtha Swami, also as your spiritual master. These liberated souls, they didn't have to sleep so much as we do, because they were always happy and always blissful and ecstatic. So they didn't have to eat so much, they didn't have to sleep so much. They were never miserable, they were always blissful. That is the difference, you know. The time doesn't have so much mercy with people who have money. I mean, if you look at a photograph or a picture or see this, what is this man, Elon Musk, who created this rocket supply, he doesn't look blissful, he looks like a madman, like an autist, you know. He doesn't look like a very blissful person. I mean, he's very rich and very influential, but sorry, you know. But if you just look at the photograph of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj or my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, you will immediately see they're blissful. And they didn't have to, you know, they didn't have so many problems with time. My godbrother once said, who was traveling with Srila Prabhupada on the plane, I mean, I don't know, I haven't traveled that much on a plane since many years, but you know, you have this phenomena which is called jet lag, you know, the difference of time, the time difference. So they were flying with Srila Prabhupada, like, you know, for 12 hours through 3 different time zones on this planet Earth. And when they arrived to their destination, my godbrother said he barely could stand up. He was so destroyed by this jet lag, by this time change, you know. His body, biological watch was completely deregulated. I mean, he was just finished, you know. He had to sleep 3 days after that, you know. He said Prabhupada just walked out of the airplane, just like completely fresh and happy and joyful, absolutely without any jet lag, you know. And my godbrother said, how do you do it, Prabhupada? How is it possible you're not influenced by this time changes? He said, oh, just like that, you know. So that's the difference between those who are influenced by eternal time in the material world and those who are influenced by the eternal time in the spiritual world. But time is eternal. That's a fact.
Yeah. And all these things Sri Prabhupada did, he was doing them at such an advanced age.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is another amazing thing. So thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. One last question I have for you is about your audiobooks, Prabhuji. Do the books come with like a CD that has to be installed as a software?
So,
You are muted, Prabhuji. Okay.
So these are my audiobooks on CD.
Okay.
But of course, nowadays CDs are going.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a for me it's a catastrophe because people don't have any more work of art in their hands. You know, they're depending on the internet, on the electrical lines.
Yeah.
So anyhow, but for that purpose, I have put all of my audiobooks for the children. Unfortunately, they're in Czech language. You know. So I
Okay.
don't think that the English speaking or any other speaking people could understand them. Prabhupada, when he gave me initiation in 1976, he told me specifically, please translate my books into Czech language. So that was something which I started to do at the start. I started to translate the Bhagavatam. I took part in also part of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, but then I gave it to other, I would say, more competent devotees in this connection and very dedicated souls, intelligent devotees who speak Czech also very, very nicely and understand the philosophy. And I concentrated on other activities. I worked at the university for 15 years. So I had many other engagements. But for 20 years ago, yeah, almost 20 years ago, I started this audiobooks for Czech children. And on the order of my Guru Maharaj, I'm doing this for the Czech and Slovak speaking children in this country. So I would recommend if any of your devotees in Africa would like to do such a thing, it is actually not a difficult thing to do. You have to write the script, you have to choose the actors, find the music, do some songs. I have, in all these audiobooks, I have musicians and groups which created and composed songs for children, which are included in these audiobooks. So it's not just speaking or reading from the books, it's a drama with songs and all kind of sound effects. I mean, when Hiranyakashipu was fighting with Lord Nishingadev, there were super sound effects which I included in this, you know, or all these different leelas, you know. So anyone can do these things. It's a little demanding, but you have to have some kind of a studio background. I have a simple studio background in here with good microphones, and you can download some sound effects from the internet, and you have some devotees who would like to make some nice songs sung. For example, in Africa, you could do it for the children in Swahili. You know, why not?
Yeah.
And you can publish it online. You don't have to make CDs. CDs are difficult to sell nowadays. They don't even have things to play them on, CD players. But if you do it nicely, if some Mataji or Prabhu would like to do this for the children, I've done it, and I think I'm happy that I did it because, you know, we have to see that the movement will go on in the future, and the children are the future of this movement. And if we do things for our children in a nice way, intelligent way, not dogmatic, you know, heavy, you know, you have to be like this and that, sort of like pushing them. But if you make them taste the nectar for children, you know, in any language of this world, English, French, Swahili, whatever, the children will appreciate, and they will carry on maybe this Krishna consciousness then in their adult life and take over the movement in the future and expand the movement in the future generation. So that was my idea of doing this. Yeah, but unfortunately, as I said, it's in the Czech language. But do it in Swahili. Why not? Come on, you know, get somebody, you know, to get the heads together, write a nice script and do some music. you can do African music to this, you know, write some African songs for the Leelas, you know, and make it a nice recording and publish it and put it online.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Prabhuji, we have much more questions, but we cannot ask you any more questions today. So our humble request is that we are on our knees, that you visit us again in the near future so that you can bless us more with your love and wisdom and the love of Sri Prabhupada, so we can ask our unanswered questions and get our answers fulfilled.
We have here in the Czech Republic a devotee who married one of your devotees from Africa. Now they have a little boy. You know that?
Yes.
Chaitanya, yeah. They have a little boy, and
yes,
it's because of
Giridhari.
yeah. And it is because of the wife of Nishinka Chaitanya that I'm on this program. She's the one who got me in. So if she gives me her blessing and Nishinka Chaitanya, then I will be ready to come again.
Whoa! Yes, we're going to let them know about this. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. We can't have a new association today.
Thank you for your association and for your inspiration.
Oh, thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Right.
So on this note, dear devotees, we're humbly going to request you all, it's been 2 hours. We're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute, and we all chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our appreciation to our revered uncle, His Grace Jayagurudev Prabhu Ki Jai. Hare
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your class. It was beautiful.